Hello, my friends. Happy Sunday. So good to see you guys. Hey, we are in the middle of a great story. I might say that every week, but I'm serious. These are just such awesome stories. How God is teaching us and showing us how to follow Him and love Him. So I hope you guys are following along. If you've missed some, you guys know where to go, right? TVC Kids Nashville on YouTube. That's our kids channel. It's just for you guys. So it's safe and it's a place you could go and see devotions and messages, but you could catch up on this story from Exodus. All right. We're getting really close to the end. Only a few more lessons that we're going to talk about this time through. But where did we leave off? Do you guys remember? It was a big miracle. It was the Red Sea. Do you remember when Moses led all the Israelites out of Egypt? Finally, Pharaoh said, "Go, just go, get out." And they got to the Red Sea and they looked to the left and there was mountains. And they looked to the right and there was mountains. And they turned around and there were the Egyptians coming in chariots. And God said, "Moses, stretch out your staff over the sea." And the walls of water went from water to walls up. And the Israelites marched through. They got to the other side, and Miriam, Moses' sister, led the praise. They were singing and dancing. They were so happy. And the Egyptians, God let them see the water come down on the Egyptians, so they knew the Egyptians were not coming after them again. What a glorious time. Don't you think they were so excited? They would remember that forever, don't you think? Well, you would think. Let's see what happened next. All right. After this happy time, the children of Israel began their journey toward the land of Canaan, the promised land, right? They soon came to a sandy desert. There was enough plants for their animals to eat, but there was not enough water for them to drink. So they were in the desert. What do you get when you're in the desert? You get thirsty, right? All right. So here they were. For 3 days, they found no water. That would be a lot of time with no water, right? Do you guys carry your water bottles around? I know you do. Okay. Well, everyone was becoming very thirsty. At last they came to a place called Marah, and there, to their delight, was a big pool of water. They were so excited. Yes, there would be water. They went to get some of the water. Guess what? It didn't taste good. It was bitter and nasty tasting. And the people started complaining. "Moses, why have you brought us out here? Look, there's not even water to drink." God spoke to Moses and he said, "See that tree over there? Take that branch, throw it in the water." And when he did, the water became crystal clear, beautiful, and pure, and tasted so good to them. Now, was it the stick that made it turn into good water? No, it was God. But again, God was showing the people of Israel, look, Moses is your leader. I'm telling Moses what to do. And so Moses went and got the tree branch, threw it in, and it changed. So he's setting Moses up. He's like, follow the leader that I'm giving you. All right? And so that's what happened with that. Finally, they got to a beautiful little oasis, and there were 70 graceful palm trees there. The Israelites camped near the water and stayed there for a while. But then they had to move on again. They folded up their tents. Remember how we talked about it was kind of like they were camping, right? They would have their tents, but think about a camping trip where you have to take everything you own. All right, they had to take it all. So packing up, little kids, animals, grandparents, everybody carried their packs. Everybody had to move along. They were going through another wild, rough desert country after they'd been journeying for about a month and a half. So these were long journeys. They weren't like a weekend camping trip. They were long journeys. So a month and a half since they left that beautiful oasis, they began to find fault with Moses again. And this time it was about their food. "We wish we'd stayed in Egypt and died there instead of coming out into this desert. We had all the bread we wanted there. Now we should probably die of hunger." Okay, I don't know, guys. Do you guys ever complain? Do you find yourself not being content, not being happy with what you have? Right? These Israelites, they had just seen miracles. They'd seen God provide over and over and over again. And yet, when they started to be at loss, the first thing they did was complain. And they went and complained to Moses, their leader. All right? Let's think about it. What should we do when we're worried about not having enough? Should we just go complain? Do you go complain to your mom and dad? Or maybe we should spend some time talking to God. maybe we should start being faithful and trust God. That's what God was trying to teach the Israelites. And so here's how he did it again. I love it that God was willing to teach them over and over and over. Because do any of us need to be taught lessons over and over and over? Yes, we do. All right, here we go. The Lord heard the complaints and told Moses that that night he would give them meat to eat. And in the morning he would send bread from heaven. Now, what do you think he meant? Okay, here's what happened. Just then, the children of Israel noticed that the cloud, which was always at their camp. Do you remember they were following the cloud by day and the fire by night, right? But the cloud that was in their camp was shining extra bright. It was so bright. It was the brilliant light. It was the glory of the Lord. God had come to let the people know he'd heard their murmuring and their complaining. Toward evening, great flocks of quail flew over the country. So those were birds. They were flying over. And the people would catch the birds, and then they could cook them and eat them. It was kind of like catching your own turkey for Thanksgiving dinner, right? All right, so they were so excited. They finally had meat to eat. And so that nourished them. They cooked it and had their supper. The next morning, this is really cool. The next morning, their ground was covered with a heavy dew. And it looked like frost, but they were in the desert. Do you think it was frost? After the dew passed, the children of Israel saw small white things on the ground. They all came out of their tents and looked at it and said, "What is it?" Some didn't know, but they called it manna. It was the bread from heaven. Now, this bread was sweet and soft and tasted so good. It looked a little bit like seeds, and they picked it up, and they found it was so yummy and so good. And so here's what God instructed them to do. He's like, gather up just as much as you will need for your one day, for today. And don't gather up extra, and don't save it. You guys know the word hoarding now, right? Don't hoard it or hide it away. Just take as much as you will need for one day. And so that's what they did. And then on the sixth day, you guys remember Genesis? Do you remember when we talked about creation and God did things for 6 days and then he said on the seventh day rest? Well, he was teaching the Israelites the same thing. He said, all right, I want you guys to gather as much as you'll need for just one day. And then on the sixth day, gather 2 days worth so you don't have to go out and find manna on the seventh day. You could rest on that day. So it seems like a perfect situation, right? But the Israelites, being the people that they are, being people-y, like I say, sometimes we forget, sometimes we don't trust. Some of them decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to save more. And I'm going to save it so I could have extra. Do you think that went well for them? It didn't go well at all. All right, God said, follow me, do exactly what I said. And they didn't. So some of them gathered up extra and tried to hide it away. Here's what I'm going to show you what happened. This is my beautiful cup of manna. All right, this is like it was like. It was sweet and yummy. And this was enough for just one day. But some of the people said, I'm going to keep a second cup. And when they kept the second cup, guess what happened? It turned to worms. Isn't that awful? So this beautiful thing that was so good, when God said, when they obeyed him and did just the right thing, they kept that. But when they did the wrong thing and disobeyed him, it turned to worms. Everybody thank Mr. Chris today because he was my worm wrangler. He went up and dug up the worms for me for our video. So obeying God, disobeying God. And I'm going to show you this next little part I'm going to read to you just how we know that it was really God who did that. All right? So God said, save 2 cups. So when he saved 2 cups for the Sabbath, that stayed safe. Then Moses had another word from God. He said, I want you to gather 1 pot of manna, just 1 pot, and I want you to keep it forever. Now wait, if it goes bad after 1 day, how are they going to keep it from forever? That's God, right? And they want it so your children's children, so their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren would see that this is how God provided for them. They gathered up a full pot of manna. God kept it from spoiling, and the children of Israel saved it for hundreds of years. Okay, do you guys have anything in your refrigerator or cabinet that will stay good for hundreds of years? No, we don't. All right. This wonderful heavenly bread tasted like honey cookies. Manna was white and round and it looked like seed. For 40 years, the Lord fed the Israelites with manna until they came to the land of Canaan. All right, you guys, I hope you'll gather up things that the Lord has for you that are good. Do not disobey and let it turn to worms. All right, you guys, go back, look at these videos. I hope to see you soon. I love you. Thank you so much for checking in with us. I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.